What are the common mistakes that parents do at an early age of the child? You mentioned already that they don't listen to the children. Are there any other common mistakes?
That's a problem. We're talking about parents now, is that the trends among parents are changing every fourth year. so there's so many. Right now the tendency is to be over protective. In Germany they call them Barbie children, that the children are so protected against life, against the world, that they become disabled, that they cannot function. And I think also this idea that a child takes away your whole life, which often includes the partnership, should not be so, and no child needs that. I think one of the messages that parents now need to hear very clearly is that children crave lots of attention. They crave as much as they can get. They don't need as much attention as they crave. So it is up to the parents to say, now, I don't want to play with you. You have to play with yourself, because I want to talk to your father. Or now, you have to sleep in your own bed because I want to have my bed for myself. Or whatever it is, Take care of your partnership, because that is the thing that your child needs the most. But she's never going to tell you that. She's never going to say, could you please become friends again? Or could you please have a sex life again? Or could you please, they don't do that. We have to know that as adults. They're being overprotected at the moment, and they're being over-educated. Parents are so busy raising their children. What children really need the most is that when they come into a room, that the parents' faces light up, and they can see that their parents enjoy them exactly the way they are. And then a little something to eat, and something to sleep, and some clothes to put on their body, and then they're fine. And I agree with that. That is the most important. When you do for your child, remember that being a giver feels valuable, but being a receiver doesn't feel valuable. So try to balance and have a life also.
How to solve common problems in raising a child, for example, lies, spoiled children, how to deal with this?
Most children around 4 or 5 have a very vivid imagination, but that's not lying. Children are only lying to their parents if they feel that their parents are not able to handle the truth, which is also always the case. Spoiled children it's a funny word, because it's so different in different languages. Spoiled in English American is actually very precise. The only way you can spoil a child is by giving him too much of things that he really don't need. You cannot spoil your child by playing with him for 20 hours a day. You cannot spoil your child by taking him with you, when you're on holiday, or going into museums, or whatever it is. It's only if you start giving the child what the child wants all the time. The thing what happens is that children don't know the difference between what they want and what they need. And if the parents think that what they want is what they need, then they will give them everything they want, and then that becomes the child's understanding of love. This is love. Whatever I want, my mother or father will give it to me because they love me. A spoiled child, you can always recognize because the spoiled child will show its face around 2.5 years old by being constantly dissatisfied. And it always wants more and more and more. And you hear it in their voices. I can go into any supermarket and I can point you out 15 spoiled children. Because they always talk like, they're complaining. They're not saying, hey, Mama, can I have an ice? They say, why can I not have an ice cream? And that is because they have been spoiled. They have been given too much of what they want and too little of what they need.
So how and what limits should be put to a child?
I don't know. Because you talk about limits or boundaries or whatever we call it. The old myth is that children need boundaries. And that is definitely not true. I mean, there is not one boundary that you can point out and say this is something that children need. Every family needs a handful of rules to function by. So if by boundaries you mean rules, I would not make too many if I was a parent today. If by boundaries you mean my personal boundaries, like yesterday you could, crawl all over me, and you could take my glasses, and you could, put your fingers in my ears, and you could do whatever you wanted. Today you cannot, because I'm not in that mood. Go away. That's important. That's a good way of doing it. So have your own boundaries. Say yes and no, and say yes also to yourself, which is difficult the first 18 months of a child's life. I mean, it's actually not really good to do it. But after that, begin to say yes to your own needs, to your own integrity. And say, you might not want to be alone with your grandmother, or you might not want to be alone with the babysitter, but you have to, because I want to go and see a movie. I want to, or spend time with my lover. I don't know what. I want that. That is a good attitude. But rules. The problem with rules is that you manage to start making rules, you have to figure out consequences, which is like the modern word for punishment. So if the child is breaking the rules, you have to find more and more severe punishment. And if you try as a parent to manage your family by rules, you will end up having children who break all the rules. So the family will be one big fight. So it's better to be personal and say, I don't want that now. Or can I have, candy? No, you cannot have a candy. Why not? Because I say so. But how come you're supposed to decide that? Because I'm your father. But that's not fair. He said, no, that's true. It's not fair. He said, no. But that's the way it is. And, that's the way it's going to be until you are old enough to move out of here. That's boundaries.